go for refuge and turn the enlightenment to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations of practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha and benefit all functioning beings. I go for refuge and turn the enlightenment to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations of practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha and benefit all functioning beings. I go for refuge and turn the enlightenment to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations of practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha and benefit all functioning beings. Sanye Joda Zoge Jonanda Chanchu Bado Bani Tatsuchi Bani Jinzo Debe Formanti Toba Benji Sanye Jumara Isho Sanye Joda Zoge Jonanda Chanchu Bado Bani Tatsuchi Bani Jinzo Debe Formanti Toba Benji Sanye Jumara Isho Sanye Joda Zoge Jonamra Chanju Bado Bani Gyatsu Nage Jinso Kebe Sonamge Lola Sanye Jubara Isho. Next page, page 6. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhavam Hetum Tesham Dathagato Yavatat Tesham Charo Nirodha Ekam Vadi Mahashamanaye Swaha Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhavam Hetum Tesham Dathagato Yavatat Tesham Charo Nirodha Evam Vadi Mahashamanaye Swaha Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhavam Hetum Tesham Dathagato Yavatat Tesham Charo Nirodha Evam Vadi Mahashamanaye Swaha. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The situation was such as well as taught by the grace here. We will read the three. We will read the Sutra on Dependent Origination, page 61. Page 61. Noble Mahayana Sutra, Dependent Arising. Dependent Arising and Dependent Origination is matter of English translation. It's just saying. And so this sutra, this mantra which we recite every day, Edharma Hetu Prabhava, this mantra, let us see how important it is, as I've been encouraging all of us, that when we travel by aeroplane, by train, by cars, or taking a walk in the forest, adventures, just think of all the creatures around us. And they say you can think of not just what is very close by you, close by, as well as the far away in distance with respect to you in time and in space. Infinite sentient beings. Just share this teaching, Edharma Hetu Prabhava, while reflecting on meanings. And you will see how important it is, the way the Buddha indicated here. So we'll read this together slowly. Noble Mahayana Sutra, Dependent Arising. Homage to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Thus did I hear in one time, the Blessed One was in the realm of 33 gods, seated on the throne of Indra, with him who agreed to hear such as they. Bodhisattva Mahasattva, such as Guru Maitreya, Noble Avalokiteshvara, and Vajrapani, who are adorned with immeasurable precious qualities, as well as various gods, such as the great Brahma, who is the Lord of the Saha world, Narayana, the great Ishvara, who is the chief of the gods, and Panchashika, who is the king of the Gandharvas, On that occasion, the Bodhisattva Mahasaya, Avalokiteshvara, rose from his seat and having draped his upper robe over the shoulder, knelt down with his right knee on the peak of Mount Meru. His palms together, he then bowed towards the Blessed One and addressed his words to him. Blessed One, these gods already wish to build a stupa. Now that they are present in this entourage, please teach them the Dharma in such a way so that the merit of Brahma will increase, and the merit of monks, nuns, laymen, and laywomen will increase, much more than that of all types of beings in the world of gods, Maras, Brahma, including the renunciates and the Brahmins. At this, the Blessed One spoke the verse of dependent arising. E dharma hetu prabhava, hetum tesham tathagato hyavatat, tesham chayo nirodha, evam vati ma shramana soha. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of causes is what is taught by the grace here. Avalokiteshvara, it is like this. This dependent arising is the Dhammakaya of all the Buddhas. One who sees dependent arising sees the Tathagata. Avalokiteshvara, if a faithful son and daughter of the noble family builds in a remote place a stupa the size of a loose-bearing fruit, and a central pillar the size of a needle, and a parasol the size of the flower of the popular tree, and inserts this verse of dependent arising, which is Dhammadhatu, he or she will generate the merit of Brahma. When such persons pass on from here and die, they will be reborn in the world of Brahma. When they pass on from there and die, they will be reborn with fortunes equaling those of the gods of the pure balls. After the Blessed One has spoken his words, the hearers, Bodhisattvas, the whole assembly, and the universe gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas rejoice and praise this teaching. Okay, we'll also read the three principal aspects of the path. Where is it? 78. Thank you. Page 78. Okay, last time I did explain a little bit. I'm going to give a little bit more detailed explanation now so that we can recite this on a daily basis, and that every day as you recite these 45 meanings, your, say, the intelligence is enriched, sharpened, and that your mental growth is taking place, and then you may not be aware that your stability of your mind, the calmness of your mind will be built up naturally. And then in the future lifetimes, this is very strange how the mind works. For some people, when they are driven into, when they meet with dharma, or when they meet with non-dharma, they don't feel connected. Somehow they don't feel connected. With the dharma, both are, say, the academic in nature. With the dharma, somehow they feel so connected. With non-dharma, they feel little, hesitant. Whereas some people with non-dharma, so tremendous rigor, zeal is there in the non-dharma. With the dharma, somehow I have no time. I have laundry to do, I have shopping to do, I have to relax, I'm tired, So all these things with the Dharma. So this is all the clear indication that whether or not the person is a merit. What is merit? Merit is the energy of your mind, And this energy of mind can be accumulated. You can build this energy. So by thinking about these three principal aspects, that the core of your spiritual journey, the 3 points, you constantly do. Say, for example, let's say that some people they tell me that, Geshe, why do we have to recite this every day? We only recite it once, right? So let's say that if you are suffering from tuberculosis, and then you go to a doctor. So this was what happened to me like 2009, how many years ago now? Hey, anybody? Venerable Tenzila is amazing. I was so proud of being good in mathematics and physics, and yesterday we were doing a little bit of calculation. I was confused, and Venerable Tenzila was doing everything by heart, and I was doing with a paper and pen. Still, I could not succeed, and I did not believe in what she was doing. And when checking with the calculator, whatever she said is correct.
It's like you are doing physics. I'm arithmetic. I'm limited.
Okay, then 2009.
Sorry?
How many years now?
What?
Since 2009? 14. Okay, so I trust her now. Okay, 14 years. 14 years ago, when many of you are just crawling. Dogala crawling. Dogala crawling, right? As a toddler. Okay, and the way the Tapala is crawling. No. Tapala is crawling. Okay. So the point is that 2009, 14 years ago, okay, I don't want to go into too much detail into the anecdote. One day, I had a pain here at my ribs. I had a pain, and usually once in a while, when you're growing, there's pain here, sometimes happens, and then it disappears. But it remained for 3 continuous days. And not only that, on the 3rd day, it was so acute that in the night I could not sleep. The pain was so acute. And then one of my relatives told me that you have to go to hospital. I went, and in Dharamsala, and the doctor sent me to Delhi. Is anyone from Apollo? Nurse, Apollo? Okay, I went there to Apollo, and the doctor diagnosed tuberculosis, TB. Okay, now imagine it's you're the one who are diagnosed with tuberculosis. What should we do now? So the doctor tells you that you have to take medicines. And if I take the medicines, this problem will be over? Yes. So you take the medicine today, and the next day you come to the doctor, you said that I take the medicine and the problem will be over, but I still have that problem. If this says what I tell you, you as the doctor, what will you tell me? Quick, don't waste our time. Just the answer is very simple. Ornella.
Keep taking the medicine.
Keep taking the medicines. You're getting it? Keep taking the medicines. Keep taking the medicines. Okay. Likewise, 3 principal aspects of the path. You read it once, it does not help you. Read every day. So as you read every day, your mind becomes richer in your thoughts, virtuous thoughts. Somebody who is rich in virtuous thoughts is known as meritorious. This is known as the merit. Merit is not like, you meet with some guru, some teachers, and bless you, and I get so much of merit. No, merit you have to accumulate. Nobody can give you merit. You have to accumulate merit. So, by reflecting these, how you accumulate merit is by thinking positively, thinking virtues as many times repeatedly. And these 3 things are the core of your spiritual journey. So if you think more of these 3 points, then your mind is constantly being enriched by the energy of these reflections. So that's the meaning of you become meritorious. Once you're meritorious, meaning you are full of energy, what's the benefit? Is that if 2 people run for a marathon, who will succeed? The one with the greatest stamina or less stamina? Greatest stamina. You getting it? Or the car with 100 liters of gasoline versus 10 liters of gasoline. Who's likely to reach the end? 10 liters. 10 liters, 100 liters. Huh? Hey, this is very simple. What happened? Are we tired? Which of 2 cars is more likely to reach the end? The one with 10 liter gasoline, or one with 100 liter gasoline? 100 liters. You're getting why? It's not about how fast you run. You should have energy. The fuel should be there. You're getting it? So this is merit of the mind. Oftentimes people ask. So one time there was someone who was very good in philosophy, so good, and the person did not have any idea about the merit. And I said that you have accumulated merit. And she asked me, what to do, how to accumulate merit. I said that you have to do the practices, do these recitations, butterfly meanings. And she said, no, I already recited once, but nobody's there in the text. So I said that no, this is not the meaning. You have to do it over and over again. And she said, I'm not convinced that you have to do it over and over again. You're getting it? And then later on, so many problems happened to the person, and then the person started to understand what is meant by merit. It requires so much merit. Sometimes the first retreat that we conducted was the first Bodhisattva retreat close by Bangalore. And when we announced this, there was one gentleman. 1 year ahead, the gentleman was so excited, I'm going to join this retreat. And I think about like a few months in advance, the person already purchased a flight ticket to go to Bangalore. Already everything done, registered, flight tickets, bought, everything. In the last minute, the next day the person has to come, suddenly the person has to cancel the retreat because of having met with some tragedies in the family. So there's merit. Where there's no merit, these things happen. So therefore we need tremendous merit. So these three principal aspects of the path, you will receive every day. That will be wonderful. And of course, we need to know the meanings. I will quickly explain the meaning. As you could remember what I said earlier, each of these 3 points, they are taught with three aspects. What? Number one, for example, the renunciation. First one, renunciation. 3 points with the renunciation. Why do we have to generate renunciation? Number one. Number two, how to generate renunciation? Number two. Number three, the measure of how do we know that I've generated renunciation? This question to answer is the measure of having generated renunciation. 3 points. Let me repeat it. Why to generate renunciation? Or in other words, the purpose of generating renunciation. Number two, how to generate renunciation. Number three, the measure of having generated renunciation. 3. So apply the same 3 things to bodhicitta. Why do you generate bodhicitta? And then, anyone, quick presents. Okay, Dhruv. Number 1 is, why do you generate? Number 2, how to generate? How to generate what? Bodhicitta. Number 3, the measure of having generated bodhicitta. Okay, point number 3, the third principal part. Anyone? Yeah, Pinsula.
Renunciation?
No. Third one. Kate?
Emptiness.
Say it again.
Emptiness.
3 points.
Renunciation, bodhicitta.
No. Third point. Three things with the third point.
Why to generate?
Why to generate what? You cannot generate emptiness. You cannot generate emptiness. Emptiness is always with us.
Happiness?
We cannot generate emptiness. Emptiness is always with us. You are always empty of object of existence.
View of emptiness.
Yes. Why do you generate the view of emptiness, or why do you generate the wisdom of emptiness? The number 2?
How to generate view of emptiness?
How do you generate the view of emptiness?
And the method of generating.
Huh?
And the method of generating.
Method.
Measure.
The measure of having generated the wisdom of emptiness. You getting it? Okay. So Lama Tsongkhapa is extremely meticulous, and the words which are unnecessary he skips, which are so important he puts them in such a clarity. You getting it? So the basic idea is that there are 3 things to keep in mind. The reason why do we generate, how to generate, and having the measure of having generated 3. So these 3 you apply to the 3 points, 3 principal aspects, one by one. And for the renunciation, all 3 are said. Then for the bodhicitta, what is said in the renunciation, you have to take some of them to the bodhicitta, and some of them you take to the wisdom of emptiness. Okay, let us see. Before we read this, I'm just quickly go through this and you did mark which is which. The first is the how Lama Tsongkhapa said, and by the way, this the three principal aspects of the path was taught by Lama Tsongkhapa at the request of one of his students from distance. Lama Tsongkhapa was in central Tibet, and student somewhere in the eastern part of Tibet. And from there, the student who was extremely dedicated, devoted to Lama Tsongkhapa, he sent a request through a messenger, please give me a teaching in essence. And the Lama Tsongkhapa composed this. So the first half, the why we need to pay importance, respect to this teaching, verse 1, and then the number 2, how to extract the greatest meaning out of this life, and by paying heed to this teaching. Number 3 is why do generate? Okay, now why? Why do we generate renunciation? Point number 1. Why do we generate renunciation? Then number 4 is how do we generate renunciation? Number 4. And then number 5, what is the measure of having generated renunciation? Okay. Number 6, why do we generate bodhicitta? Okay, at the moment I'm just indicating these, I'm telling you these points, and then later on in your leisure time, you go through these one by one and see if what Lama Tsongkhapa taught in the particular verse corresponds to the points that I indicated. You getting it? This is your job. Okay. Number 6 is why do you generate bodhicitta? Why? The reason why do you generate bodhicitta? And then the number 7, number 8, how to generate bodhicitta? Number 7, 8. And then what is number 3? The measure of having generated bodhicitta, that is not indicated here, because this you have to take from renunciation. What Lama Tsongkhapa taught for having the measure of having generated renunciation. So this is what you have to apply. For example, if I tell that, okay, Shohini, if you want to become a baccalaureate in physics, you have to study physics. So I told her, and somebody may ask, what about me? Same. You're getting it? Say, for example, Pemba says, I also want to become a Nobel laureate in physics. What should I do? So same. Whatever I told her, this applies to you. You're getting it? Likewise, for whatever is said in the renunciation, saying that for the renunciation, day and night. So what is said here? Okay, can you read that section, that verse, which is the measure of having generated renunciation? What is that verse?
Without your renunciation.
Contemplating thus. Which verse? Yes, let's read verse 5. Read this together. Contemplating thus, when for an instant you do not admire the splendors of cyclic existence and remain intent on liberation day and night, you think of nirvana, you think of attaining freedom from samsara. At that point, renunciation is born in you. You're getting it? So now apply this to bodhicitta. Contemplating thus, for an instant, you do not think of cherishing yourself. Think of cherishing yourself and remain intent on Buddhahood. May I become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings. Remain intent on Buddhahood day and night. Bodhicitta is born in you then. You're getting it? So this is how you have to understand. What is not taught, we have to learn it from what is already taught. Take it from there. Okay, so bodhicitta done. What do cultivate bodhicitta? How to cultivate bodhicitta? The measure of having cultivated the bodhicitta. The third one is implicit. It's not explicitly taught here. Number 9. Number 9, why do you generate the wisdom of emptiness? Number 9, why do you generate the wisdom of emptiness? And number 10, number 11, number 12. Okay, the number 10, number 9, 10, number 9, no, number 10 and 11. Number 10 and 11 is how to generate the wisdom of emptiness. Then number 12 is the measure of having generated the wisdom of emptiness. Okay, and then number 13 is to reinforce. 13 is to reinstate or to reinforce. So what is the measure of having generated the wisdom of emptiness? 12 and 13. Then 4th is the last advice for the need for us to engage in practice after learning the 3 principal aspects of the path. Okay, now once you know what is what, which is which, we will read the 3 principal aspects of the path together now. By Lama Tsongkhapa, I bow down to the Venerable Lamas. As well as I am able, I'll explain the essence of all teachings of the Buddha, the path praised by the conqueror's children, entrance for those who desire liberation. Listen with a clear mind, you fortunate ones, who are attached to joys. Strive to make good use of leisure and opportunity, and direct your minds to the path that pleases the Buddhas. Without pure renunciation, an end to an attraction for the pleasure of cyclic existence is unattainable. Existence also finds beings left from ourselves, saying renunciation. Reverse attraction to this life, but reflect on how leisure and opportunity are difficult to find, and how life is ephemeral and without span. Reverse attraction to future lives by repeatedly thinking of the infallibility of karma and its effects and the misery of samsara. Contemplating thus, when for an instant you do not admire the splendors of cyclic existence, and when swept up in the current of the 4 powerful rivers, tied by strong bonds of karma, so hard to undo, caught in iron net of self-grasping, completely enveloped by the darkness of ignorance, born and reborn in boundless cyclic existence, ceaseless and tormented by their 3 miseries, thinking of their mothers in this condition, gendered the Supreme Mother Bodhicitta. Although you train in renunciation and the Mother Bodhicitta, without wisdom that realizes the ultimate reality, you cannot cut the root of cyclic existence. Therefore strive to understand dependent arising. One sees the infallible cause and effect of all phenomena in samsara and nirvana, and dissolves all purposes of apprehension, has entered the path which pleases the Buddhas. Appearance is an infallible dependent arising. Emptiness is understanding that is free of assertions. As long as these two are seen as distinct, you have not yet realized the intent of the Buddhas. When these two realizations are concurrent, where the infallible dependent origination concurrently destroys all modes of grasping through its definite discernment, at that time the analysis of the profound truth is perfected. Further, appearances refute the extreme of existence, emptiness refutes the extreme of non-existence. When you understand that emptiness arises in the form of cause and effect, you are not captivated by the view of extremes. O my child, once you have thus realized upon the 3 principal paths, seek solitude and cultivate strong determination and quickly reach the final aspired goal. Okay, verse 14, it says, O my child, I well remember His Holiness the Dalai Lama during his public teachings. I remember His Holiness saying that when you recite this, the verse number 14, when he said, O my child, although Lama Tsongkhapa, he addressed this to his student, his student but when you recite it, if you could feel that Lama Tsongkhapa is addressing to you, that, oh my child, referring to you as his child, spiritual child, and then you build a very strong kind of connection with him, that in future lifetimes you can take birth under his shadow, and that you will be and there will be, you will receive the maximum benefit of his incredible learning, reflection and meditation, and then go to attain Buddhahood very quickly. Okay. Okay, before we go further into the text, I just like to share with you that. So here, Thosamling, the nunnery here, is 20 years old, 21 years old, 22 years old, and in fact, like, I think I know about this since 17 years ago, 17, 18 years ago. And I personally would say that for me, it really doesn't matter which center, what center. For me, the center which requires support, that's very important. It doesn't matter whether it's related to me or not. So Thosamling really requires support. And particularly we talk about the women empowerment, empowering the women and so forth. So this is nunnery. And if people can, support it directly, indirectly, financially, or even just by coming to the center. Coming to the center, you can sit for the 1 week retreat, retreat, and whatever protocols to be followed. You have to follow rules, regulations, and they'll be very happy. In fact, simply that the center, the Venerable Samula, so courageously started the center. It's amazing. It requires a lot of courage, strength, and she did it. And then she did it out of so much of pure heart that in future, people who require support, particularly the nuns who are not who do not have any access to Tibetan language. So where do they go? And this is what she created. And if I'm not wrong, she's the one who informed His Holiness that me, after having received ordination, said, where should I go? Then His Holiness said that we, the people who do not have access to Tibetan language, we have no place to go. Then he said, you start nunnery. Then she started. That's amazing. And the Bodhisattva, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the Bodhisattva, he encouraged, he sees something in her to start. And she started it so courageously. That's amazing. So now it is our job to support. For example, here we have the Venerable Tenzin La, Venerable Petron La, and the other nuns, Tigila, and Yangchen La. Many of them are there to support. But then even the public, we need to support. This is so important. And His Holiness, I remember this is so beautiful. And to be very honest, for me, I have no particular center. Tibet House, I'm there because I'm put there. I'm put there anytime I can be out, I can go out. So what I'm saying is that they have no special affinity to any one center. Where it requires help, in whatever capacity that I can give some help, this is what I do. So with this, I remember His Holiness one time, in public address. Yes?
Can I ask a question about sexism?
Okay, this will come later. We'll do later, don't worry.
But I'm not worried. I'm more so just curious because nuns don't have a special name. Tibetan Buddhist nuns don't have a special name. And, no, really. And geshes, or once you're high up in Tibetan Buddhism, what is the name for the man versus the woman?
Geshe Ma.
Geshe Ma, and then what's the female? Or that's the female, and then what's the male?
Geshe.
Geshe. So, Geshe Mas are never equal to Geshes.
Okay, we'll do this later, okay?
Will we?
We will, yes.
When?
Okay.
When?
Tomorrow.
You promise?
You come to Delhi.
Do you promise?
Yes, I promise.
I come to Delhi?
Yes.
I literally will.
Okay. So, if you're really about this, you support Thosamling. And I'm talking about supporting Thosamling. Thosamling is not a monastery, it is not a monk's monastery, it's a nunnery. Support Thosamling.
Okay, so if
Listen, support.
I will.
Did you support Thosamling thus far?
I support Thosamling a lot. I really...
How long? 10 years?
No, I'm just asking you a question.
I know. So support. Don't talk all the time. Support. Give concrete support. This is so important. People talk. People talk, this doesn't help. It simply makes even people listen. Even people who have sympathy for the girls, when you hear all these things, even they will keep distance. You're getting it? So therefore we should be very skillful. Okay, to cut it short, His Holiness the Dalai Lama was once that
I'm sorry, I really have to ask. If I give all of my money to all of the nunneries, because I support it.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay, once His Holiness was asked the question, so Your Holiness, you're talking about universal compassion, but deep inside you, you have affinity for the Tibetans. Then His Holiness said, in a very calm, composed way, he said, I have 5 fingers. I have 5 fingers. I love all these fingers equally. But if this finger is injured, I will take care of this finger more than other fingers. This is an amazing answer. So for me, wherever there is need, it doesn't matter. Even which tradition, it doesn't matter. Wherever there's need, I have nothing to do with Thosamling, to be very honest. But I come here, I see the situation, I see how Venerable Sambal has been putting so much effort all these many years. So I feel a responsibility. So therefore, what I'm saying is, whatever little I can do, I'll continue to do. And all of us as well. It's not necessary that this being nunnery only the females should support. Even the men can also support in different ways. So for example, the altar. So last time, we brought this in the Buddha statue, and when the Samala and when the Tenzin, they worked so hard. So now that I'm coming here and the Buddha statue is already here, that even this Buddha statue is supported by so many people. And I didn't want to impose on them, oh, you're a center, they should be a Buddha statue. I talk and then I leave. That's very easy. But they have to do something. So they've done everything. So now what you can do? So I said, don't worry, this is required, but don't worry, I'll take responsibility. And then whatever little offering people give me, I return. But they insist, I said, okay, I'll use this for one project. And some of my friends asked me, what project? I said, the Buddha statue project for Thosamling. And then they donated money. This money, we forwarded directly to the office of Thosamling. And so this beautiful Buddha statue came up, and Mr. Trinity also helped so much in actually running here and there between me and the manufacturer. So what I'm saying is that finally, that we need the support. For me, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether it's the individual, private institution, center, or the center run by bigger institutions. It doesn't matter. For me, it's the same. For example, CKSL in Bangalore, I was again supporting it. So wherever there's a need, and then Assam America Zailing Center is very in the inception stage, again supporting. So what I'm saying, all of us, let's see how we can support. And they did the best. Buddha statue came here already within a few months. And then they started to redo the altar, because the altar was very small, width was so small, and Buddha is huge. So they redid it right away, and again it involves money. And so anybody who likes to help, this is the right place. Thosamling is the right place. It's not that for big monasteries or places where they're already rich. And then you just make rich person richer and poor person you don't support. Instead of that, let's do the other way around. So whatever little that you have, if you want to support somebody without name, don't expect any name. Expecting name, it destroys your virtues. And with this, the altar has to be done. They did the altar already, and still we need to do it more and see whatever help, like 100 rupees, 500 rupees, 1,000 rupees, $10, $100, whatever in your capacity you can make some offerings. So this is, usually I'm somebody who always stays away from fundraising. I always stay away from the fundraising because it has nothing to do with me. To some extent, nothing to do with the private matters, so that I can openly speak about it for fundraising, right? So anyhow, and then it's not necessary you should have money, and sometimes you can come here to volunteer, and that too not just for holiday and then with the name volunteer. It can create more problem to something rather than help. So genuinely, I'll be volunteer for 6 months with some skills, right? With some skills. And then you say you want to support in ways of, say, financially, in some different ways, like, you want to go for a retreat. When you go for retreats, you have to spend money. So why not you come here, spend money here, and then sit for a retreat yourself, come place, eat food. So like this, there are so many ways of supporting this. So this is what I like to share with you. Okay, good.
She's sitting here. She helped a lot.
Yeah, I did mention her name. Yeah, I mentioned, say, the Samala is the main, and then the Antinsutanla was coordinating with Fourth Buddha, coordinating all the between Samala, Antinsula, and the Sirintutula, three of them coordinating, and then finally coming to me, and then with the manufacturer. We were running here and there, here and there, here and there. And because of running here and there, sometimes even the Tibet House class, NMC was also delayed. Because it was very far away from where Tibet House is. It's about sometimes 1.5 hours one way, 1.5 hours back, and then sitting there, talking to the person, making sure that the Buddha stage is proper and so forth. Okay. So then I mentioned Petronla made a huge contribution, to be very honest, because that all of us are connected to Thosamling because of Petronla. Last year, I know Thosamling for all these many years. In fact, I met the Venerable Sambal also. She came to my place when I was in Dharamsala. And then it was last year because the Venerable Petronla, she's experienced with all these programs from Root Institute. And she asked Venerable Sambala how about conducting some retreats here with me, and then people will come. And then this is how we come together last year. Now this second time is all because of Venerable Petronla's the creativity, and that now this is happening. Okay, so this is how, just see how to support somebody who deserves. This is a part of the Bodhisattva practice. Okay, so before we go more into some personal practice and so forth, let us go to the text.
You had asked us to remind you to speak about the deeper meaning of the Heart Sutra mantra towards the end.
Yes, so if you get time, thank you for this reminder. So meanwhile, and I encourage you so much to support, but if you find that, but I don't have any capacity to support, don't worry. Later on when you go out, talk about Thosamling, even this is a great support. Talk about Thosamling. Somebody says, I want to go to Dharamsala, go to Thosamling. Right? Even this is great support. People hear about Thosamling. And then this is how the awareness of Thosamling will increase, and people liking for Thosamling will increase, and people will want to come here, sit for retreat, attend teachings, and then more programs can be conducted. And say the volunteers who are really qualified volunteers, they can also join. Yeah, this is how we can support. Okay, so last time where did we leave? Verse number 20. 20 done, not done. 19 done. 20. Okay, which page number? 122. Okay, page 122. Why I'm asking this is that what I have is a different edition. Is a page number is different. 122, page 20, verse number 20. The chapter 24. If all of these were non-empty, now Aranyagārjuna is now saying with the synopsis of the rejection of the opponent's view, Vaibhashika and Sautrantik's view by Aranyagārjuna, then Aranyagārjuna will go into more systematic, stepwise way. The way the opponents did to Aranyagārjuna is going to do the same thing to the opponents. Okay, 20. If all these were non-empty, if you could remember verse, I think 1, the verse 1, it says, if all of this is empty, this is opponent's view. Now Aranyagārjuna is saying the opposite. If all of these are non-empty, you have a problem. So they said, if all these are empty, there's a problem. Aranyagārjuna said, no, that's not true. If all these are non-empty, non-empty meaning, if all things exist objectively, you have a problem. So what's the problem? He said, if all of these were non-empty of objective existence, there would be no arising, known as no ceasing. Why? If they are non-empty meaning, if they are objectively real, then they should be independently real. If they are independently real, then they should not be dependent. If they are not dependent, then the cause-effect dependency is not possible. Then cause-effect is not possible. If the cause-effect is not possible, arising and ceasing is not possible. Arising of effect, ceasing of causes is not possible. 20. If all of these were non-empty, there would be no arising and no ceasing. If there's no arising, ceasing, Four Noble Truths is not possible. Because Four Noble Truths is grounded on the basic principle of cause and effect. Truth number 1 is the effect, truth number 2 is the cause, truth number 3 is the effect, truth number 4 is the cause effect. For you would be, then the Four Noble Truths for you would be non-existent. 21. If it is not dependent on reason, how could arising come to? Now go into detail. If things are objectively real, things should be independently real. Then if things are independent, then they should not be dependent. If there is not dependent, then what is the first truth? What is the first noble truth? Truth of suffering. Truth of suffering should arise from the cause of suffering. So truth of suffering should arise by dependence on the cause of suffering. So if the dependence is not there, suffering is not possible. Arising of suffering is not possible. 21. If it is not dependent on reason, how could suffering come to be? Impermanent, which suffering is thought to be, does not exist in self-nature. Self-nature meaning objective existence. If you believe things to be objective real, so suffering is taught, Buddha taught suffering as impermanent. Impermanent means change. Change means something does not remain static. If it does not remain static, first moment should change to second moment as a result. Third moment as a result should come from second moment. So cause effect should be there in what is impermanent. Buddha taught suffering is impermanent. You cannot account for the impermanence. Impermanent, which suffering is taught to be by the Buddha, does not exist in its self-nature. If it does exist objectively with self-nature, independently, you cannot account for the suffering as impermanent, which the Buddha taught. 22. When something does not exist from its own nature, meaning when something does exist from its own nature, meaning something exists objectively or independently, how could it ever arise? Meaning that if it is independently real, arise meaning, so for the 2023 arose from 2022. So at the time of 2023 was non-existent. Yes? At the time of 2023 was non-existent. What is non-existent should come into being. This is known as arising. So, if 2023 was non-existent in 2022, and that too as independent, not dependent on 2022, then 2023 will never arise. Because arising depends on the causes. So dependence should be there. If the dependence is not, if it is objectively real, then dependence cannot be accounted for. 22. When something does exist from its own side, own nature, how could it ever arise? It follows that if one denies emptiness, if denies it, the emptiness doesn't make sense. Things exist objectively. If this is your attitude, there can be no origin of suffering or the cause of suffering. You cannot account for the cause of suffering. So you cannot account for suffering, you cannot account for the cause of suffering. Okay, 23. If suffering exists as self-nature, if suffering, okay, how many of you are suffering? How many of suffering resents? How many of you know? How many of you have no suffering? You give me a suffer holiday. Okay, no one. So we all have suffering. So, if the suffering that we have, if it exists objectively, you cannot get rid of this suffering. How? Anyone? Let me repeat it. If the suffering that you have, okay, how many of you feel, say when you're in school, when in college, how many of you feel Friday evening is very exciting? Monday morning is terrible. Makes sense? Monday morning is terrible. It's suffering, you know. So I don't know whether I shared this with you here. I was in a center, and my host, the center's main director, his little son, when I came, it so happened it was Friday. And the whole house was reverberating with the sound of his presence, jumping here and there, shouting. And Monday morning, the house was pin drop silent. Then I asked my friend, "Where did your son already left for school?" He said, "No." "Is he sick?" He said, "No." Then why is so quiet? Right? He said, "This is Monday." Right? And then when he was about to leave for the school to catch the school bus, then my host said that can I bring him to you before you leave? I said, "Yes, of course." And he came. He is a very different boy. He comes like this, like this, very different. And this Monday was suffering there. This boy is suffering. You know, Monday suffering is there. So this suffering, if it exists objectively, it should exist. It cannot be gotten rid of. Let me repeat it. If this suffering exists objectively, you cannot get rid of this suffering. How? Anyone? Raise hands. More hands. 1, 2, 3, 4. More hands. Omar? Yes? No? Okay, your name?
Ryan.
Ryan, yes.
Well, if suffering exists objectively, then it also is not ceasing and arising.
How?
Because objective, we're saying, is also synonymous with independent.
If it exists objectively, it should exist independently.
Right.
If it exists independently, no arising, no ceasing. Why not?
Because something that is not dependent on cause and effect, then I'm close.
You're very close. You're very close. You're very close. Anyone? No. So some of you think that it's not my responsibility. Somebody else will do it. Okay, raise hands. Raise hands. Raise hands. Raise hands. Okay, Roshni.
If you think of it as objectively real, it's completely unshakable. There's no freedom there if it exists from its own side. But
Why?
if you think it is subjective, then you have the...
No. Don't jump too fast. Don't go too fast. If it's objectively real, then what?
Then you cannot control it.
Why not?
Because it's it's not coming from the mind, it's coming from the
What's
side
the
of
problem?
the
It's
object.
coming from this side of the law, from the object. From the object, you destroy it. What's the problem?
If you destroy the object, I mean, something else will come up. It's not just like one object that can be.
Then the emptiness of
subject.
suffering will come up. This is what you want.
No, I'm saying if you think of it as subjective,
Everyone else.
then you have the power to transform your mind.
Dhruv. Dhruv.
Like it doesn't have causes then.
Okay,
Objective.
if it exists objectively, then the issue exists independently. If it exists independently, then dependence on the cause is not tenable, it's not possible. If it's not possible, what's the problem?
If there's no causes, you can't get rid of the cause because there are no causes.
If it's not dependent on causes, then result will not arise. Right?
Yes.
Or you cannot get rid of the causes.
Right.
How?
Well, because if it exists independently, there are no causes.
Yes, then?
So then there are no causes to be gotten rid of.
Okay,
It'll exist
that makes sense.
Forever. It'll be under.
If you exist independently, then you have nothing to do with the cause. If the cause is non-existent, then the concept of eradicating cause is not there. If the cause is not eradicated, the result can never be eradicated. So the suffering as a result can never be eradicated. If it does exist, wonderful. Thank you. Okay, good. 23. If suffering exists as self-nature, its cessation could not exist, meaning stopping of suffering. Freedom from suffering will not exist. So, if self-nature is posited, if objective existence is posited, one denies the cessation of suffering. So you deny the suffering, you deny the cause of suffering, you deny the cessation of suffering. Of the Four Noble Truths, three truths are denied. 24. If the path had self-nature, it's the truth of the path, not the fourth one. Truth of the path is in cessation. If it does exist subjectively, meditation would not be tenable. What about meditate? Okay, I'm resting, now I meditate. From non-meditating, you move to meditation. You're getting it? So if the path is always there, you don't have to meditate, it's always there. It's always there. Why do you have to meditate? Meditate meaning that you, from the pre-meditation, you go to the meditation. From the meditation, you go to the post-meditation. So this is how the process. You have to meditate, it's always there. Meditation is to build it. You don't have to build it, it's already there. 24. If the path has self-nature, meditation would not be tenable. If this path is indeed, if you say the normal path is meditated upon, then you have to give up the idea of objective existence. Your position of self-nature, objective existence of the path would not hold true. If suffering, origin is the cause of suffering, cessation of suffering are non-existent. If you reject these three, then by meditation upon which path? Which path could one seek to obtain the cessation of suffering? If the cessation of suffering is not there, what's the point of meditating on the path? Right? So meditation path would make no sense if the cessation is not there. 26. If now the Aranyaka is going one by one. So we in one of the earlier verses, verse number 2 or 3, the view of the opponents, saying that Buddha taught truth of suffering is to be, truth of cause of suffering is to be, truth of cessation of suffering is to be, truth of path leading to cessation is to be. Very good, I'm so glad that you're very precise. Okay, so the opponent said that if nothing exists objectively, then what the Buddha taught, truth of suffering is to be identified, you cannot identify it. Truth of the cause of suffering to be abandoned, you cannot abandon it. Truth of cessation of suffering is to be actualized, you cannot actualize it. So the identification, abandonment, actualization, and meditation of the Four Noble Truths is not possible. This is how the opponents voiced this problem on Aranyaka. Now Aranyaka is saying that it is not my problem, it is your problem. How? It says that 27. Just as the identification of the suffering is said to be unfeasible, abandoning of what? Cause of suffering, actualizing, cessation of suffering, meditating, the path, and the Four Noble Truths also would not be possible for you, the Vaibhashika Sautantrika. 28. For a propounder of self-nature, and self-nature in Tibet is Rangshin. Self-nature is Rangshin. Rangshin, it means objective existence or true existence. 28. For a propounder of self-nature, since the fruits, okay, now look. The fruits, what are the four fruits? Fruit of stream mantra, fruit of one's eternal, fruit of no more eternal, fruit of arahatship. So four fruits. Now the Aranyaka is rejecting the opponents one by point, the way they try to reject Aranyaka. So 28. Without the fruits, so if the Four Noble Truths are not there, if the four practices related to Four Noble Truths are not possible, then nobody will attain the four fruits. Because four fruits are attained through the practice of Four Noble Truths. So there should be no fruits. If no fruits are there, what are the 8 Sangha members? What are the 8 Sangha members? 4 enterers and 4 abiders. So, the 28, for a propounder of self-nature, since fruits that through their self-nature are not attained, if the fruits are not attained objectively, meaning that you cannot possess the four fruits, and then that somebody did not attain, okay, let's say that if person A is yet to attain four fruits, and that too, that the person A not having attained four fruits is objectively real. So the person A will have no chance to attain four fruits ever in the future. You agree? Not agree? Let me repeat it. If that person A does not have four fruits, and that the person A is not having four fruits exists objectively, then the person A will never have the four fruits in the future also. You agree? Or not, you agree? Yes. Anyone? Do you have a reason why you agree? How you defended anyone? Anyone? Quick? Anyone? Okay, let me repeat it. Okay, how many of you have Buddhahood now? No one. If you don't have Buddhahood now, and the fact that you not having Buddhahood, if it exists objectively, if you are objectively not having Buddhahood, if you're by self-nature or intrinsically you are not having Buddha nature, or in our language, if you are objectively not having the Buddha nature, with the Buddhahood, then you will never attain Buddhahood. This is the reason, this is the logic. How many agree? Okay, how many you can defend it? How you can explain it? Raise hands. Raise hands. Only one hand. More hands. Oh, that's strange. Okay, Tharjana.
If everything was objectively existent.
Not everything. That we not having the Buddhahood exists objectively.
Then there will not be cause to bring us to the effect that is Buddhahood. So you cannot even become Buddha.
Okay, so you not having the Buddhahood, if it exists objectively, then that it should never depend. Say the attaining Buddhahood is by dependence of the cause. So this objective existence means no dependency. No dependency means no cause. No cause can bring Buddhahood within you. So if you have no Buddhahood, it will remain forever as no Buddhahood. You getting it? Thank you. Okay. 20. Yes.
So this standard 28, the previous standard when Nagarjuna is rejected by saying that suffering is objectively existent for the opponents, when that is rejected, so there implicitly the standard also rejected.
What is rejected? If the suffering to be existing objectively is rejected, already rejected, attainment of possibility for attaining the fruits is also rejected. Okay. I understand now what the Drodnizar is saying. Drodnizar is saying that if you say that if you accept the suffering to be objectively real, then you can never remove the suffering. This is another way of saying that you will never attain freedom. Right? You will never attain the four fruits. So are these two same? Answer is very much yes. So this is how Nagarjuna is going to detail how the opponents try to reject Nagarjuna. Point by point, how Nagarjuna was, explaining to them. It is point A is your problem, not my problem. Point B is your problem, not my problem. Well, otherwise, what he said is very true. Good.
I don't know if I'm wrong, but yesterday when I said that the third truth of cessation, and then when Vibhashika and Satantrika were saying that third, it is effect of the cause of the fourth one. And that if I'm not wrong, then said that there are two ways to explain it. One is to the reason and one to the cause. So Nagarjuna said that okay, there it is not to the cause because the third one is permanent phenomena, so there is no cause giving rise to the effect. So now again here why we are...
Okay, so basically, yes, I understand what you're saying. So yesterday what we said, that the truth of cessation is not effect. And the truth of path leading to cessation is not the cause of the truth of cessation. But in the loose sense, we said in loose sense, we treat the truth, because the truth of cessation comes to you by meditating on the path. So that's the reason they give rise to this. So in the loose sense, we say that there's a cause and truth of cessation is the result. In technical sense, it's not about Nagarjuna or the Vaibhashikas. It's all the Buddhist schools will say that the truth of cessation is not effect. All schools. So why I brought this up is as a clarification, because if I say that there are two sets of cause and effect in the Four Noble Truths, then later on when you meet with some scholars, really good scholars, and then you present emptiness so well, and suddenly you say that there are two circles, and then the scholars may ask you this question, you will get stuck. So these clarifications, nuanced explanation about the nuanced points must be made. So I made this clarification for that purpose. So this clarification is not only from the Nagarjuna's point of view, it's from the point of view of all the Buddhist schools. In fact, the truth of cessation, no Buddhist school will accept that to be the effect. No school. Okay, good. 28. Without the fruits, there are no abiders of the fruits, nor the enterers. If the 8 kinds of persons, 8 sanghas, do not exist, there would be no sangha. Now look, okay, now the triple gem, the sangha, Nagarjuna is saying that now the opponents, if you accept objective existence, you cannot posit sangha. 30. From the non-existence of the Four Noble Truths, would follow the non-existence of the true Dharma. Do you remember that? What is true Dharma? What's the reason? How does this reason work? That the 30, from the non-existence of noble truths, if the four noble truths are not there, then you cannot explain the true Dharma. How do you explain this? What's the rationality? What's the reason?
Fourth and third noble, four noble truth. Practicing upon the path leading to the cessation and to result of
Actualizing the truth of cessation. Of the Four Noble Truths, what Dr. Pinzora is saying is that from the Four Noble Truths, truth number 3, to the cessation of suffering, and truth number 4, the truth of path leading to cessation, these two are the real dharmas. So, dharmam sharanam gacchami. I go for refuge in the dharma. When you say dharmam sharanam gacchami, the dharma is our Four Noble Truths, truth number 3 and truth number 4. These are the true dharma. If you reject Four Noble Truths, you are rejecting the true dharma. So Sangha is rejected, dharma is rejected now. If the Sangha and dharma is not there, then who will become Buddha? Right? Who will become Buddha? You reject the Buddha. So in a way, accepting objective existence, you are rejecting all the triple gem. Okay, 31. No, 30. From the non-existence of noble truths would follow the non-existence of true dharma. If there is no dharma and no sangha, how could a Buddha exist? 31. For you, it will follow that a Buddha. Okay. So in other words, you are rejecting the triple gem. The opponent said that if things don't exist objectively, then you are rejecting the triple gem. Now Arjuna says no, it's the other way around. If you accept true existence, objective existence, you are rejecting the triple gem. Okay. So the 31, 32, these verses, we see that if you think it, these are like, in a way, like more like a repetition. But each one of them have the nuanced, say, the logical thinking. So meanwhile, we develop the logical thinking. We sharpen our logical thinking. This is so precious. Otherwise, just the first verse by Arjuna, but just by the first verse, Arjuna rejects the opponent's views already. Just one verse is good enough. We don't need all these 27 chapters. You getting it? So where Arjuna said that, and to speak with compassion, you taught them immaculate dharma, to dispel all perverted views, to you the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. This one verse is good enough. But the thing is that in order to understand this meaning, your intelligence should be so sharp. For this, we have to do the mental exercise as many times as possible. You're getting it? For this reason, all this explanation is given. Otherwise, for someone who knows this already, like for Arjuna himself, these are all repetitions. These are all repetitions from the first one verse, which is the praise to Buddha Shakyamuni. So let's say, and to speak with compassion, you taught immaculate dharma, meaning that you are driven by great compassion, and because of which you want to help all the beings by the great compassion. You taught the immaculate dharma. What is immaculate dharma? The wisdom of emptiness of objective existence. You taught the immaculate dharma to dispel the perverted views, to remove the wrong views, like Vaibhashika's view, Saraswati's view, non-Buddhist views, to remove all these wrong views, and to great compassion, you draw the immaculate dharma, to dispel the perverted views, to you the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. So saying that this verse, so simply, this verse contains everything, but finally we have to grow. For us to grow, our intelligence should grow. Our intelligence, which is not so sharp, we should sharpen this. How to sharpen this? How to sharpen the blade? Hey, the knife. How to sharpen the knife? Huh? Yes. Okay, to sharpen the knife, you have to practice it. Sharpen the knife. Huh?
How to be intelligent by practicing ourselves?
So you are somebody who wants to get to the essence. You don't want to go into the examples. That's amazing. Okay, but I'm asking the example. How to sharpen the knife? How to sharpen the knife? Huh?
Over stone.
Over stone. Sharpen. Huh? How should you do? I agree with you, but how should you do?
You need a proper technique.
Proper technique like this. Oh, over and over again. Over and over again. Good. Sharipumu is good. Yeah. This is Sharipumu. Her name is Sharipumu. She's from Shari, place named Shari, right? Czech Republic.
Yeah, it's a part of Prague.
Prague and Shari, and then she's girl independence Pomo. So Shari Pomo. Girl from Shari. It's a Sharipu, it's Shariputra, and Shariputri. Sharipum. Okay, so what Sharipum is saying is that how to sharpen the knife is you strike this knife against the stone once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, repeatedly. This is how to sharpen it. Likewise, our intelligence should be sharpened by learning the concept from different angles. It may sound like repetitive, but this is the only way how to sharpen the intelligence. Once you sharpen the intelligence, you need the information. You're getting it? We need 2 things. One is the sharpen the intelligence. Only with the sharp intelligence, then you can have the nuanced information. Otherwise, right? Otherwise, for ordinary people, you say, sometimes when I recommend Dr. Tandin, when I recommend Dr. Tandin to some sick people who the allopathic doctors, they give up. When they give up on some patients, they come to me, I recommend them to Dr. Tandin. And they will say, Dr. Tandin, is it traditional Tibetan medicine? I will say, yes. And then they will say that, oh, we also have a Tibetan, we have a traditional Tibetan. I said that I'm not recommending a Tibetan doctor. I'm recommending the Tibetan doctor. You getting it? All glitters are not gold. You getting it? So therefore, that simply because the information is very similar doesn't mean that everybody will get it. Because there are nuances. These things involve nuances. So for that you need a nuanced intelligence. And this nuanced intelligence has to be cultivated. You have to build it. So by learning, by studying these things, thinking, by sharpening, then your intelligence is sharpened. This is how we obtain the nuanced thinking, nuanced intelligence. With the nuanced intelligence, then you can see the nuanced concepts. You getting it? Okay. 31. For you, it will follow that a Buddha arises not in dependence upon enlightenment. For you, enlightenment would arise not in dependence upon a Buddha. For example, let's say, what is Buddha? Buddha is a person, enlightened being. And what's the quality of, what made the Buddha as an enlightened being? Because of his quality of enlightenment. So quality of enlightenment and the person who attains this. So if these 2 are objectively real, then these 2 should not be dependent on each other. If these are not dependent on each other, it's like, for example, me and Dhruv, right? So even in the absence of Dhruv, I can go to Delhi very easily. So in the absence of enlightenment, you can still be a Buddha. You're getting it? And in the absence of Buddha, in the absence of the person is a Buddha, still the quality of the enlightenment should be there. But in reality, these 2 are mutually dependent. On when quality of enlightenment is there, the person is known as Buddha. When the person is Buddha, the quality is known as enlightenment. These 2 are dependent on each other. Whereas if they are objectively real, then these 2 should be independent of each other. If this is independent, then what? Hey, if these 2 are independent, the Buddha and the Buddha quality of the enlightenment, if these 2 are independent from each other, what's the problem?
without attaining Buddhahood, the qualities will remain. They are not.
Without the person becoming Buddha, still the qualities should be there. Or without the qualities, still the person should be Buddha. Like the person who said in front of this great teacher, who said, "You are a Buddha," and he said, "I'm also Buddha." You know, without the quality, he is also Buddha. So this is actually not possible. Whereas, if you accept objective existence, you have to accept it. Okay, 31. For you it would follow that Buddha arises not in dependence upon enlightenment. For you enlightenment should arise not in dependence upon Buddha. 32. For you, in all those who are not Buddhas, due to his self-nature. If you are not Buddha, if you are yet to become a Buddha through self-nature, through objectively, then you will never become enlightened, which we discussed earlier. For you, in all those who are not Buddhas due to his self-nature, enlightenment could not be achieved. Even though enlightened practices to obtain enlightenment, what's this? Even through the enlightenment, even if you put so much effort to become enlightened, gade, para, gade, all these efforts you put, still you cannot become a Buddha because that you being unenlightened person, non-Buddha person, if it exists objectively, it should become independently real. If it is become independently real, nothing can change it. It should forever remain as unenlightened. Okay, 33. Moreover, one could never perform dharma, and then look, if things exist as objectively real, what is dharma and non-dharma? What is dharma action and non-dharma action? Anyone? Virtuous is dharma, non-virtuous is non-dharma. Okay. What do you mean by virtuous? Anyone? What do you mean by virtuous? Geshe?
Dharma is used to the enlightenment from this.
Okay. Dharma, the virtuous is a dharma which gives rise to enlightenment. Okay. Which gives rise to happiness. And greater happiness and greatest of which is enlightenment, which gives enlightenment, which takes closeness to enlightenment. Thank you. What is non-dharma? Anyone? Yes, Nicola.
Any action that results in suffering?
Non-dharma is those actions which leads you to more sufferings. Wonderful. So there's no what we call as a cardinal non-virtue, cardinal virtue. No. A set of mind, you have this mind, it will lead you to suffering. That is labeled as non-dharma. A set of mind which takes you closer to happiness. These are known as virtues, dharma. You getting it? So there's nothing intrinsically to be said, this is dharma, this is non-dharma. It's about related to the results. You getting it? Okay. So it says that if things exist objectively, then the cause and effect, they should be independent. There should be no cause and effect. If there's no cause and effect, if there's no cause and effect, then the dharma makes no sense. Dharma means effect which is happiness. Non-dharma means a cause whose effect is miseries. If there's no cause and effect, then this concept dissolves. Then dharma, non-dharma concept dissolves. Whatever you do is okay. Right? Whether what we call dharma, non-dharma is not dharma, non-dharma. Whatever you do is okay. There's no problem. But reality is different. If you eat cyanide, if you consume cyanide, it will kill you. Don't say that, oh, I'm eating elixir, cyanide, it will kill you. So the infallible cause and effect relationship is there. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Geshe, dharma is like virtuous actions. We were just discussing that actions that lead to enlightenment. But,
enlightenment or happiness.
Right. But virtues can also be contaminated, right? Like generosity,
yes.
which is like conceptual generosity, but you have this
okay, contamination. What's the problem? Yes.
So it's contaminated. But
contamination is not non-virtuous.
Right, but then how, that will not lead to enlightenment, right?
Why not?
I mean, if it's contaminated virtue, it can still lead to enlightenment? I'm asking.
Okay, this is a good question. This is a very good question. We talk about the dharma, non-dharma. So dharma in its little impure form, contaminated form. Dharma in a very uncontaminated, very pure form. Dharma also varies, right? So the dharma, within dharma, there are some of which take the form of contamination. Dharma mixed with the contaminations. So what about these? These dharma will take us to enlightenment. Okay, so this question is not to me, it's for Dilshat. Right? So Dilshat said, and I twisted it a little bit, and I failed. And she picked this up. So what Dilshat said is virtuous. What is virtuous? Virtuous means which takes you to enlightenment. So I said, okay, virtue which takes you to happiness. And the highest happiness is enlightenment. I tried to just twist it, and she caught not what I twisted, she caught the end. Right? I would have answered actually. So what Dilshat said is the highest level. What I said is the beginning, middle, and including the highest. You getting it? So beginning, middle is the happiness. I said happiness. And the highest level, which is enlightenment. What you said is very true. Contaminated virtues will not give rise to the enlightenment, but contaminated virtues will give rise to happiness.
In like samsara?
No, happiness. And then the question is, contaminated means it should be in samsara. Answer is yes. So the happiness that you get due to contaminated karmas is in samsara. Answer is yes. But happiness per se may not be in samsara. It can be samsara, non-samsara, both. Because even the Buddha had the happiest moment. 24 hours happy Buddhas. Okay, good. Yes.
Can be based on virtues and non-virtues, and then Gisela, a friend has mentioned enlightenment, the highest one, and then there seems like there's a middle. So based on this spectrum, can we apply the practice of happiness on potential, personal potential, like Shumachi?
So say the happiness that we seek has various levels,
Yes.
right? Say happiness samsara, and then the happiness due to sensual external objects, happiness due to meditation, and then
intelligence based on
capacity and yes, intelligence also. You see that there are various levels. So what's the question?
So like can we compare those two, or like let's
Happiness with your intelligence.
Yes, let's say I'm a middle intelligent person, and can my deeds and practice of happiness becomes virtuous or non-virtuous?
Okay. So on the one hand we have the virtues, contaminated, uncontaminated. Within uncontaminated, again there are various levels. Various levels like 10 bhumis. Various levels are there. On the other hand, the practitioner develops these qualities on the basis of the intelligence, degree of the intelligence. So if your intelligence is middle, does it determine what level of the happiness that you get? Is what I'm saying?
Yes, practice based on result based on practice of
result based on your capabilities, yes, and intelligence.
Yes.
Okay. Answer is yes, 100% yes. 100% yes. So but it doesn't mean that say, in the mundane world, what we call somebody who is extremely ultra rich, it must be, of course it's a result of virtues. It must be very intelligent, not necessary. But say the very mundane successes, and then go into the super mundane success, and then go into the journey of cleansing the mind. So the journey of cleansing the mind is greatly determined by the degree of your intelligence. It determines that. And then on that level, your happiness, the vastness, expansivity of happiness, the profundity of happiness is all determined by your level of your intelligence, degree of intelligence, and the degree of your, say, the enthusiasm with the bodhicitta and renunciation. Good. Okay, where are we now? 30? 33. Moreover, one could never perform dharma and non-dharma actions if this were all non-empty, meaning that if this were all objectively real, what could one do? Because they are so static, they are not dependent on each other. They don't depend on you. You cannot do anything. That with such nature, action does not exist. So therefore, with such nature, what is the objective real? You cannot explain. You cannot account for the karmas or actions. Okay, we'll stop here for tea break and group discussion. Bhagavate